You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast, where you'll learn step-by-step how to meet and seduce beautiful women, whether you're looking for one night of fun, a week-long fling, or a long-term relationship. I'm your host, Trip, and the episode starts now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the How to Talk to Girls podcast. I'm your host, Trip Kramer from tripadvice.com. It is closing in on 2019, if you're listening to this in real time. If not, hello to you from the past. Hello to the future. Yes, 2019 is behind us and 2020 is just around the corner. I hope that you have some New Year's resolutions, but more specifically, I hope you already started them. I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. Turns out that there's a percentage of New Year's resolutions, this was done by a study that showed that most are not ever even kept from those of people who even decide to create a New Year's resolution. Isn't that something? Well, it makes sense because starting something on a very specific date far in the future, even if it is 1 week or 2 weeks from now, it's just saying that you have a personality that's trying to put something off and that you're not as serious about it as you could be. And yeah, I'm being hard on you right now. I'm giving you some tough love. If you were really serious about something, you really wanted results, you would not wait a second. You would do it today. You would do it right now. The reason why you don't is either out of fear or laziness. If I were to go inside of your brain and I were to take out fear and laziness, mostly fear, I guarantee whatever you wanted to do, you would do it now. Of course, pending the very specific exceptions of someone literally being out of town for a couple of weeks and saying, well, I don't have any time to do that, but I will do it right when I get back. But even then, I do believe that someone can do something. A lot of people think that they have to have a full, let's say, workout plan or a full approach plan to get started before they start something. No, that is the wrong way to do it. I've been this way, by the way. I've tried multiple ways of accomplishing goals. And one way was okay, I'll start in 2 weeks and I'll prep for the 2 weeks and I'll write the things down and I'll look for the places to go to meet women, or I'll look for the gym, or I'll start, prepping for my search for a new job or whatever it is. Like, they do all this prep. But really, all that prep means nothing. It's way better, and you're going to be farther along if you take action faster. So for example, let's say you want to go out and meet some women and you say, in the new year, I'm going to go and I'm going to start approaching women. And you create a whole plan to do it, of when you're going to do it and when you're going to go out and all these things. And you research your opening lines and you do some listening podcasts, or maybe watching videos, or going through the Hooked program that I have. And then you're waiting for it. That's one way. Or you can just do an approach today. You can literally press pause on this podcast as you're walking by many women and just go up and say, hey, what's up? Just to see what happens, just to experiment. That one approach, even if you get rejected, even if she looks at you like you're crazy, even if she has headphones in and can't hear you, is going to take you miles farther than waiting to do it in 2 weeks from now. Same thing with something like going to the gym. Getting down and doing 10 push-ups right now will take you so much further than planning everything out and getting the gym membership and then going on, January 6th, 2020, and then doing a full workout. You might as well just start now. Because if you start now, most likely you'll do something tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. And then when January 1st or January 6th comes along, and I say January 6th because that's the first Monday where people get started, the first Monday in January. You start now, you're going to be way ahead of the game come a couple weeks from now. So let me encourage you. Let me push you. Let's get you out there, and let's get you talking to women today. If you need help with that and you want to get started, then I want you to check out your option for coaching, which you can check out at coachedbytrip.com. Coachedbytrip.com is the website where you can apply for coaching with me if you're interested in receiving coaching one-on-one with me to take you to the next level in 2020. you know what that next level is because you know what level you're at. So if you're stuck, let's get you unstuck. I'm working with guys every day. Schedule is packed with guys who are saying yes to coaching because they want to take themselves further and they're not scared to admit that they need help to do it. We all need help. I've had coaches for everything in my life, for business coaching, for dating coaching, health coaching, productivity coaching, emotional coaching. I mean, you name it. And I'm happy that I did because it's taken me further in my life because I've seeked out experts. So do the same. Apply today, coachedbytrip.com, and we can see if there's a January slot for you. Or if you're listening to this a year in the future, go there anyways, because there still might be a slot open for you. I want to go into today some of the reasons for specifically why men don't attract beautiful women. So I bet you're hopefully out there trying to date, trying to attract beautiful women. There's two ways to do it right now. You can do it online or you can do it offline. And then, of course, there's subcategories of what that might mean, right? If you're doing it online, you could be swiping. You could be doing it through, some sort of online dating site. If you're doing it offline, that means you could be doing approaches, or it could be a matchmaker, or it could be speed dating. I don't think many people are doing that though. But let's say it's really just two categories, offline and online. And either you're online and you're swiping or you're doing some online dating and it's just not working for you. You're not attracting the kinds of women that you want. Let me tell you this, and I don't claim to be an online dating expert. I focus way more on in-person because I think it's more helpful for your whole skill set. If you're doing offline dating, I don't know why I keep saying offline. I really just don't like that term, but that's the best way to put it right now. If you're doing approaches, you're meeting women in person, you're going to be building the skill set, which is important anyways, because eventually you got to be with the person in front of you, right? Has to happen in person eventually. So I believe that that's so much better. But yeah, I don't claim to be an online dating expert. I remember when I was doing online dating a few years ago, I wasn't getting the results I wanted. I wasn't matching with the women that I really wanted to match with. So you might be having trouble also in that arena. And or you're going out, you're approaching, and you're not meeting enough beautiful women and it's not working for you. No, I don't want to sound shallow here. But I do believe as a guy, I can speak to this, is we kind of go beauty first, right? It's like that's what we know of a woman in terms of attraction. You're not going to swipe right on a girl you're not physically attracted to. You're not going to approach a woman you're not physically attracted to. Of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, meaning it's subjective, meaning that what I think is beautiful is different from what you're going to think is beautiful, and so on and so forth. So it's not necessarily like a superficial thing, but we all have to be physically attracted. And then afterwards, we figure out and see if the woman has other great qualities. If she is someone who is interesting to talk to, someone who has opinions, has a personality, someone who's doing something interesting with their life, maybe, someone who's nice, someone who's caring, nurturing, right? So, of course, those things will come, but I know that you're probably a guy who still wants to be with someone who they're physically attracted to. Don't feel bad about that. That's science. That's biology right there. You want someone who has the signs of estrogen and the symmetry, and the woman that you feel you want to mate with to have children who have a high chance of survival. It's okay. But also just understand that I don't want you to be shallow either. There's a lot of guys out there who are just looking for beautiful women and nothing else. Of course, if you're just looking to have fun and sleep around and be casual, that's one thing. But if you are looking for a relationship, then don't just go for women who are beautiful. You want the whole package. I tell guys, you're in this, you're listening to this podcast because you're learning about how to have an awesome dating life and attract a great woman. We're not here to settle for just one or the other. We want the whole package. Beautiful inside and out. So let's get into it. What are some of the reasons why men are not attracting those beautiful women. Here's number one, and I'm going to start strong here. This is one of the most important ones. And it is something so important that I happen to be talking about it all the time with my coaching clients. In fact, I was doing this just yesterday. We were talking about him going out and doing approaches. And he said, Trip, I'm going out and I'm doing the approaches, but I just don't seem to be getting a lot of results. I don't seem to be moving forward here. And I said, okay. And there's always a few reasons of why that's happening. And so I asked right away, how many approaches did you do this week? He said, I did about 6 or 7. I said, okay, 6 or 7. And how many of those were really solid approaches? And when I say a solid approach, I mean not just like going up to a girl and saying hi and running away. Now, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's where you are and you're still trying to fight your approach anxiety, any approach is a good approach. So don't let me put down approaches. But we're talking about, I've been working with this client and we got him over his approach anxiety. So we're a little bit further than that. So for him, going up and just asking a quick question and walking away, that is going backwards. So I said, how many of those did you do? He said, probably a few of those were out of the 7 were not such good approaches. And I said, okay, here's your problem. We have barely any data to work with. You need to do a significant more approaching. You need to approach more women. So the first reason why you're not attracting beautiful women is because you're not putting enough leads in your funnel. Think about this like a sales funnel, right? You got to get a lot of people who are potential buyers of whatever you're trying to sell. Okay, I know this is funny. I'm comparing this to business, but there is a correlation here, right? There are some parallels here. So imagine, you're trying to sell something. Well, you got to put your stuff in front of a lot of people. And then it looks like a funnel going down. A funnel gets skinnier and skinnier because fewer people are interested, but you need a lot first to get even those few interested. Same thing with approaching. You're going to need to approach a lot of women to A, be able to practice your skill set and get better, and B, have an opportunity to even get a woman interested. That's the thing, is not every woman is going to be interested. Even if you're amazing, even if you're so good at talking to women and charismatic and yada, yada, you're going to need to go out and still do a lot of approaches because you never know what kind of woman you're going to be approaching at what kind of time. Maybe you're catching her on an off day. Maybe she's got a boyfriend. Maybe she just doesn't like your look. She doesn't like the way you look. She's not attracted to you. But then there's a lot of other women who will be attracted to you right off the bat because you have the look, or in a good mood, or haven't been in a relationship or been with a guy for a while, so they're open to talking to you. But you need opportunities. You need a lot of opportunities. So again, twofold here. You want a lot of leads in the funnel, meaning you got to approach a lot of women because you want more practice and you want more opportunities for something to happen. That's the name of the game. That's what a lot of guys don't realize. That's kind of the secret. I said this to him last night when I was on a coaching call with him. I said, this is the not so secret that guys don't realize. And I hope it doesn't deter you from approaching, just give you a realistic picture of what it should look like. And that is approaching lots of women. So the homework I gave him for this week is we got to get 15 approaches done. So we got to double the approaches. Because think about that. Imagine he's doing 7 a week, 1 a day, which is really not that bad. But again, we want more. So 1 a day, that's 30. If we just bump that up to saying, okay, instead of doing 7 in a week, we're going to do 15 in a week. We just double that, right? Do the math. That's 15, that's 30, 60 in a whole month. That's a lot of women. That's a lot of practice. I guarantee you, even if you're the worst conversationalist in the world and you are so shy, but you're able to manage doing 60 approaches in 1 month, you'll get a number. You'll get more than that. And you'll even probably end up getting some sort of date out of it, just by pure numbers. Now, you might be saying, Trip, well, if that's the case, why do I have to learn anything? Why do I have to be better at conversation or flirting, et cetera, et cetera? Well, because you're going to increase your chances of converting those approaches into something that can actually happen. So if you just go out with no skill set whatsoever, completely shy and approach 60 women, maybe I'm just throwing numbers out there, you'll get 3 numbers. But if you know what you're doing and you're comfortable and you know how to flirt and converse, then maybe you'll get 15 or 20 numbers, and then some of those will convert into dates. So it's a little bit of a numbers game. And I know this sounds funny, like we're quantifying dates right now. We're quantifying dating. God, it takes the magic out of it, right? Well, let's be honest, man. If you're doing any swiping, you're doing the exact same thing. And don't tell me you haven't been on these online dating apps, because I know most guys listening have. And that's the exact same thing. There is nothing different from online dating / swiping than offline dating and doing approaches. There's no difference. The only difference is one, you're looking at a screen, and the other, you're looking at someone in the face in real life. But of course, you're just swiping until you find someone who's a match. So it's a numbers game. But even if you're on this perspective where you're like, well, Trip, all of it kills the magic. Let me tell you something. That stuff is created by the entertainment industry and Hollywood and media to make you believe that, because that's the fantasy and people are attracted to fantasy. But don't think that that's real life, where you can just meet someone serendipitously and they're just going to love you for you, and it's just going to happen on a random day in a park. Has it happened before in the history of life? Sure. But it doesn't happen that often. And even out of all those where it actually has, who's to say that those relationships even worked out? So I don't want to get too far into this to convince you, but hopefully you understand that the idea here is more leads in the funnel, more approaches. Do more approaches, talk to more women, and you'll increase your chances of being able to get more beautiful women into your life. Number 2, the reason why men aren't attracting beautiful women is because they see beautiful women as having more value. This is the same concept as putting a woman on a pedestal. So what happens is this. What happens is they see a beautiful woman, they say, oh, she's a 10, and then they label an ugly woman as a 5. So what happens inside of your brain when you start labeling that way is you say 10 is higher than 5, 10 equals more value. When something is more valuable, I want it more. And when I have the opportunity to get it, but it's not for sure, it's going to increase anxiety, it's going to increase neediness, and it's going to really make you fall apart more when you are in front of that valuable thing, right? Because that's what we're talking about here, is we're talking about you seeing a beautiful woman. Why are you scared? Well, there's a whole lot of reasons, but one of the reasons in terms of what we're talking about here is you go, whoa, beautiful woman, rare. Not often do I see someone who I'm really attracted to. Now I see them and, oh, they're very special because they're very beautiful. I'm really scared to talk to them because what if I get rejected? I don't want to get rejected by something of value, something of beauty. And what if I screw up? I don't want to miss my chance because this is rare. See how everything I'm coming back to is this idea of value? You're putting a lot of value on the beautiful woman. And that's natural. That's going to happen a lot. But what happens is you do it to a point where you think she's more special and it compounds. You would think, oh, she's even more valuable because beauty is something that is looked at in society as something that is special. And then it goes with your ego, right? If you're walking around with a beautiful woman, your ego feels really good. You feel more special. So all of this leads up to, oh my God, there she is. I don't want to screw this up. The reality is you're going to screw it up, and that's okay. Guys won't approach beautiful women, or they will, and they'll be so shook up when they do it. Or maybe they'll even attract a beautiful woman, get her on a date, and then they'll mess up from there. Or they get a beautiful woman to be in a relationship with, oh boy, and then they mess it up from there because they act needy, because they're putting them on a pedestal, because they're acting like this is the gem. But understand that there are lots of beautiful women out there, A. B, that all these women that are so beautiful are not necessarily special. They were just born with beautiful faces. And, maybe they worked hard at creating a very beautiful body, working out, things like that. But either way, it's just the outer shell. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go for a beautiful woman. I'm just saying that you shouldn't think of it as something that is so special, so freaking special that if you don't get it, you're ruined for life. There's lots of women out there who are beautiful. There are lots of opportunities. You need to live in a life of abundance. An abundant life is one where you realize if it doesn't work out with this one, there's going to be another one. I've proved it to myself over and over again. It took a while. I had to go through many experiences to realize that once it doesn't work out with one woman, there's always another one around the corner. And I quote from my book, Magnetic. I say there's always another one around the corner. And there is. So don't worry if you mess it up. Go for it. Fail. Screw it up. Go and approach the most beautiful woman in the room. Go and approach the most beautiful woman walking down the street, at the bar, at the club. Just do it. Mess it up. Screw it up. If you don't do it, you're never going to see her again. So you might as well get that experience. And you're also going to learn when you start dating attractive women, they're just like any other woman. They're not that special. I'm not saying that women aren't special. I'm just saying that the value you have assigned to the beautiful woman just because she's pretty means nothing. Because once you're with a beautiful woman, it's nice. But if you're looking for a relationship and you want something more than that, it's a coin toss. But that's the thing. It's a coin toss with any woman, whether beautiful on the outside or not so beautiful on the outside. You don't know what they're going to be like as a person. Some women are great. Some women are miserable. Some guys are great. Some guys are miserable. You never know who you're going to meet or what's going to happen. So don't put all the value in her beauty. Because the reason why you're not attracting her is because you're assigning that beauty and you're not either approaching or you're acting in some different way. Like, oh, she's beautiful, so I got to act a little bit different than I would if I was going up and approaching someone not as attractive. What's another reason why you're not attracting beautiful women? Well, your conversation skills probably lack. So now we're getting into the micro details, right? Your conversation skills probably lack. And that's one of the bigger things that I know guys are looking to solve, right? This is the podcast called the How to Talk to Girls podcast. We're talking about how to talk to girls. Well, if you're, not talking to girls, that's the first problem, which we kind of got into. But the second problem is if you're talking to women and it's not working out, your conversation's probably boring. So another thing I was working on with a client recently is trying to get his conversation to be a little less boring. And I gave him this tip. Try to go into a conversation, into an approach, and do not ask them where they're from or what they do. Even if they ask you. Now, the only exception is if you use the opener that I tell guys to use where you go, hey, I saw you over here. You look nice. Are you from, and then the city that you're in? Are you from Chicago? Are you from Los Angeles? Are you from New York? Other than that, try not to go into extensive conversations about where they're from, what they do for a living, what they like to do in this city, things like that. Try not to go into that stuff. Try not to go into the questions that you're always asking, those boring questions that you're always asking women. It's going to force you to be more creative and come up with different things to say. Maybe it's a different question. Maybe it's a different type of statement or a story. I encourage you to talk about things that you wouldn't think to normally talk about in a conversation. I know that sounds maybe overwhelming, but it can literally be anything you want. Right now, there's a lot of news going on with things going on with Trump. Just bring it up. Who cares? Have fun with it. People say, don't bring up politics. And who cares? Bring up politics. Bring up whatever you want. Bring it up whatever's going on in the news, whatever's on your mind. Just bring something up other than the boring old conversation of what do you do? Where are you from? Cool. Let's move on from that. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. The next one, I know this is not a problem for everybody, but I do hear this issue a lot, is, Trip, I can't even find any beautiful women. Like, there's no beautiful women anywhere. Well, you're probably not going to the right places. Okay, so let me give you a few common places where attractive women are hanging out. Okay, that's going to be where shopping is. So like a mall or an outdoor mall. It's going to be bars and clubs. Yes, I know there's a lot of guys who are against going to that because it's just not them, but I'm just saying that's where they're hanging out. There's a lot that hang out at the gym and yoga classes if you want to do approaching there. I don't really recommend it just because it's starting off at a really, advanced level. But if you feel that you can do it, do it. And then where are other beautiful women? Well, if they're not in those places, that's pretty much the main places, then that means that your town is very, very small. So all I can say is go to the next town over that's bigger. A lot of guys think it's, they don't even think that they can go over to the next town that's potentially an hour away. Do it. I used to live in a suburb in Los Angeles, and I had to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to downtown LA, Hollywood area to get more women that I wanted to approach, that I was attracted to, because I was in a suburb. So you just got to do it. You got to kind of suck it up. I can't magically, give you an answer to put more beautiful women in your town. So go somewhere where they're hanging out, and it might have to be the next town over if you live in a small town, or the places that I just described, or those places that are in the next town over. So that's another reason why you're probably not attracting them, because you're not meeting them. I wonder if any of those resonate with you. I'm sure at least one of them does. So let's see if we can start working on some of those things in the new year, or just really ever, right? Putting more leads in the funnel, not seeing beautiful women as more valuable than you think that they are, working on your conversation skills, and going to the right places so you can put more leads in the funnel and approach more women. I hope that helps. If you need help and you need more assistance, you can always go to coachedbytrip.com and apply for coaching today, where I can help you one-on-one, and we can help you go out and approach more women and create a custom plan for you so you can be attracting more women within 6 weeks. That's right. We can do it. You just got to follow a plan that I create for you. Let me set it up. You knock it down. Let's work together. Go to coachedbytrip.com today and apply. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.